So welcome everybody. I think we can go ahead and start whenever we're ready.
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Welcome to this. This is the ISGA Conference Preview webinar, and my name is Dr. Claire Warden. I'm part of the conference organising team in Scotland. So it's my wonderful pleasure to be able to introduce you to some of the speakers who will be with us in Scotland, and also just to give you a taste of some of those things to come in May 2021. Today. So today's speakers, myself, obviously I'm the host. My organisation, Living Classrooms, specialises in looking at the idea of nature-based pedagogies, how we use these wonderful landscapes that we're also passionate about. We have the wonderful Matt Robinson, who is based in Scotland, and he's one of the conference directors. We have Cedric, who's joining us in Belgium, and we have Josefina in Chile, and we hope to have Richard, who's in the UK. So we're going to go through the speakers, and they're going to take control of the screen and share with us their ideas around various aspects of international school grounds work. If you haven't met the Alliance before, it's a fabulous organisation. It's all about bringing together dynamic people who are passionate about really engaging young children and children throughout schooling, right the way through into youth work, in terms of really engaging in their school grounds, making them dynamic places where children really want to learn and thrive. Some of the things that we do, well, conferences, we're delighted that we're going to be having the conference in September. We have working groups which are passionate about different things, everything from research to looking at landscape issues. We're constantly trying to share best practice, and for that it is very much a global group. It's about drawing on the experiences of people across the world so that we can really start to learn from each other and develop the community of practice. We've worked very hard in creating some position statements because we appreciate the fact that the ISGA is all around the idea of advocacy. So you can see on the screen, there is one there about risk in play and learning, which has been created by us as a collaborative and then endorsed by the organisations that you can see there noted. We have very much supported the International School Grounds Month in May, and you can see that there are activity guides in multiple languages that you can download and use to really start to make the most of your school grounds. This is one part of two webinars where we're going to be giving you a little bit of a taster about the amazing things that we've got organised for you when you come to Scotland. So this is part one, and there's going to be part two where you're going to be sharing some presentations and hearing from folks in Scotland and in Bangladesh. When we looked at the conference, we were very keen that it was all about trying to come together, and we appreciate the fact that we've been struggling around the global pandemic. One of the things that I think is really important to hold on to is that whether we meet virtually or whether we meet face to face, that we hold on to our passion and enthusiasm for really getting children outside into their school grounds. So without further ado, let me stop my screen sharing and hand you over to the wonderful Matt Robinson.
Thank you. That's quite an introduction, being called wonderful. Hello, everybody. I thought I would just start with a little video I recorded a day or so ago, maybe introducing you to the location a little bit for the conference. So bear with me while I just share this.
Hello everybody, my name's Matt from Learning Through Landscapes in Scotland, and I'm stood on top of a hill right in the top of town in Stirling. Behind me at the end of the valley is Ben Lomond and Loch Lomond of the Trossachs National Park. If I pan around, you're going to see Stirling Castle perched on top of the hill, a very famous landmark in Scotland. And if I keep going round, you'll start to see some of the hills which get bigger and bigger to the north of us. And as I keep going round, what's really interesting is in these buildings just behind us here in September, a group of us are gathering for the International School Grounds Alliance Conference. We'd really like you to join us for that conference. We're going to spend 2 days talking about school grounds, outdoor play, learning, the challenges that we face and how we've overcome them. Part of the story is the journey that Scotland has been on to embed outdoor learning and play. But we're also interested to hear your story. How did you get here? What have you learned on the way? We've got options to come and join us in this beautiful place in person. If you can't do that, and I know a lot of you won't be able to this year, then we've got options to join us online, join in some of the discussion, join in some of the seminars live as we go. If you can't join us live or in person, we can also share with you the recordings as well, so you can see some of the short recordings, the highlights and the resources that go with that. There's lots of flexible options. I'd like you to go and look at our website, have a see whether you could come and join us for both days or just one day. Maybe you'll join us afterwards and download the information as well. That's the International School Grounds Alliance Conference here in Stirling, September 2021.
There we go, everybody. So yeah, that was just a wee little introduction. If you do manage to make it in person, we will take you around some of that beautiful top of the town. If you don't, we'll still try and take you a little slice of Scotland. And I think the important bit I just wanted to get across in these 2 minutes is the breadth of opportunities and learning that we've got going on, the opportunity to share. If I just give you a flavour of some of the seminars, and again, I'll drop into the chat the link where you can then go and see who the speakers are and what they're talking about afterwards as well. In early years, we've got a gentleman called Kenny from Stramash in Scotland, an organisation that's trying to take sort of outdoors every day to the mainstream in Scotland is their next. How do we do that for every nursery? We've got people talking about woodwork and tool use with early years people. There's a project that Learning Through Landscapes has been involved in Malta about how you improve early years grounds. And our own Dr. Claire Warden will be talking about some of her work in Scotland and what's been pioneered here as well. Primary schools, we've got a lot of work to do looking at using nature connection to bounce back from the pandemic. And a lady called Aileen Hill, who again has run lots of things in Scotland, lots of forest school background, but a lot of therapy background is running that. We've got a project that's looking at diversity in outdoor learning and play. How can we make this more diverse? How do we overcome some of the barriers that we don't even realise are there for some of the young people that we're working with? A couple of webinars looking at permaculture and growing in school grounds. That leads on really quickly to our colleagues in Paris talking about school grounds for climate change and how they've got a project there that's not only mitigating but is improving the environment around school grounds subject to hotter summers and wilder winters and things like that. We've got somebody who leads a local authority in Scotland talking about how they are supporting hundreds and hundreds of teachers in their local authority to make outdoor learning and play a daily event in every school, not just an add-on, not just something special. We've got colleagues coming from North America, talk about how they grow in local green space and how they're using community space if schools don't have their own. We've got Cedric, we've got Josefina, Richard as well, all talking about their individual things. So I'm not going to say much because they're going to talk in a moment. We've also got some specific things on landscape design. Angela, who's our colleague from, I want to say Chile, I'm fairly confident, is coming to talk about how they've been pioneering courtyards in schools there. And some of our colleagues who are landscape architects in Scotland about some of the work they've been doing to persuade people to move on from flat concrete and flat grass. I think overall it's a really diverse set of people we've got coming. We've deliberately planned some time for people to meet in person, but also online to have discussion about what they're hearing each day and maybe build those networks and have a conversation with each other. I certainly know I've been missing meeting people and I'm really keen to do that, whether it's through a screen like we're doing today, or it's actually in person with a cup of coffee and a discussion about the work that we're doing. I'll pop a link into the chat. I'd encourage you to go and have a good look. And I think the other favour I would ask is just everybody, if you think this is interesting, and I hope you do by being here, you'll just share it with as many people as you know and encourage some more people to come and book on. Here ends my pitch for Stirling and coming to join in this autumn. I think the next three guys are much more interesting. They're actually going to talk about the work they're doing. So I'm going to step out now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Matt, for that overview. And I love the fact that you were up on top of the hill and it wasn't raining and it was looking totally fabulous. So well done you. So it remains now for me to introduce Cedric, who's going to take us on a journey. I know we're going to be amazed by the things he's going to be sharing with us in terms of transformative thinking that he seemed to be showing us as a little snippet at the beginning. Over to you, Cedric.
Okay, thank you, Claire. I will share this screen. I hope everybody can see a concrete playground with a little flower popping up. I'm Cedric. I'm a teacher in Sint-Paulusschool, Kortrijk, Belgium, a school with 450 children, a primary school. And the last 5 years, I have been working on transforming our school ground from 4,000 square meters dull concrete playground to a sparkling and maybe I will just call it a little paradise. So I will just show you around. I will end with a little road movie I made yesterday. There's no music, but the footage will speak for itself. Okay, this was our school ground 5 years ago. Classic 30 by 30 square centimeter tiles, water where there shouldn't be water, and no fun things except for this little dolphin, which is in fact a dustbin. It looked like this. Our children were bored. We had lots of accidents, the classic things that go wrong on a concrete playground. And we have transformed in 2019 with the help of landscape architects. And we were in the mud and the sand for over a year. We had a lot of nice things, a lot of fun while working. Santa Claus came on the bulldozer. The kids enjoyed the contractors and the big cranes and the bulldozers on our school ground, but we have transformed it into this now. So we have worked together with the children from the school, the teachers, the parents, the community, and asked them how would you like to play, how would you like to learn? And together with designers, we have designed a whole new model of how a school ground should look. And we took a lot of things in measure, like how would we work with the water is coming from the skies, how will we work with electricity, with energy, we want more biodiversity, better air quality, all those things. And now we see children having so much fun. We have loose parts play, we have sport, we have all kinds of different kinds of play. And it's just because we started with asking a simple question: how would you like to play? We are now a little urban farm in the middle of the city. We have bees at school, we have a vegetable garden, we have chickens. So it's so much fun to be working there now as a teacher. And we are so proud of what we did, because now we notice that this transition is blowing like a new wind through Flemish schools, and everybody wants to come over and have a look, and it's really fun. I've made this little movie yesterday. It's about 3 minutes. I should have flipped the screen, but it works.
Welcome in Sint-Paulusschool, Kortrijk, Belgium, where I'll show you around at the Klimaatspeelplaats, our new school ground. I will give you a quick tour and hope you enjoy the view. We start with our vegetable garden that we've developed with our children from the school. Our own greenhouse, automatic water dispenser, so we don't have to come over on holidays to water the plants. In the greenhouse we are growing tomatoes. We have some outdoor lesson places. We build fires with the kids to cook and to make experiments. We have our own recycle park where we recycle our waste, children. And now you will see how children play these days. At our school ground, we have 450 children here, different ages, age 2 to 12, and they're having lots of fun. Welcome.
So that was that. I will be so happy to talk about this project in September in Stirling. I will just give the big lines, the ideas behind it. And I think for teachers, it will be interesting to see how the practical challenges have been solved and how you deal with this kind of school ground now. So you're welcome.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much indeed. That was amazing. I love the question about that started it all off, which was, how would you like to play? Which to me is that wonderful sense of empowerment and agency that you included in there. And I found myself going through that, you know, the virtual tour with you, which I think is just amazing. And we've got lots of comments coming up where people are just giving you that feedback to see it's amazing, the transformation. But also when you're in that virtual world, is, you know, you go through the tunnel of willow and you notice that there's shadow on the ground and just the noise and the busyness of that. It was brilliant. Thank you so much, Cedric, for sharing that with us. That was great.
You're welcome.
So let's move now to Josefina, who's joining us from Chile. Hello, Josefina. Lovely to have you here. So I'll hand over the screen to you, and we look forward to hearing about what you've been doing.
Mm-hmm. Hi, thank you, everybody. I love International School Grounds Alliance. I love the fact that we belong to different parts of the world, so you don't know if saying good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or good night. I think it's fabulous, the global thing about it. I would share my screen now. I have to say it's a tiny presentation because I was asked 5 minutes, and I think I'm a bit selfish after seeing Cedric's presentation. Mine is like, if it was a book, which is, I showed just a tiny little bit because I do want you to go to Stirling. So I just want to warn you about it. So I'll share the screen. Hold on, because I don't find that. Hold on. Oh, here it is. All right. And I promise a virtual tour on September of one of the settings. after Cedric's and Matt's inspiration. Right, here we are. Well, my name is Josefina. I'm Chilean. I'm an engineer in agriculture. I did a master's degree in landscape design at the University of Sheffield a long time ago. And I started working as a private landscape designer. My aim was to design public parks here in Chile because access to nature is not that equal. So I started there, but I felt I was in debt. I felt I needed to move forward, and I started working at an NGO, a new NGO, which name is Fundación Illumina. And there I convinced them to develop a project that it's the one I will talk about. I just left Fundación Illumina after 12 years. So I'm starting Espiral, that's why it is there. And well, in Chile, nursery schools, or as in England, you call them early childhood educational centers. Here we call them jardines infantiles or children's gardens after Frebel's kindergartens, you see. So when I started visiting nursery schools, when I started working at the NGO, Fundación Illumina, I was kind of, you are teasing me? Why are we calling them children's gardens? Why they look like children's tarmac or children's asphalt? So, and I kept on thinking, we are kind of lying a bit to children because these are no gardens. So yes, we started with the program. It was a bit crazy at the beginning, sorry. But now, well, I'll tell you, but we're very proud. It's on public education, and well, it exists at many settings. So let me check how to move it. It did work. Here it is. Right, so my vision, now that I'm by myself again, is that change is always possible, always. If we want to aim for biophilic lives for everyone, both in urban or rural context, we need to collaborate today. I have a feeling it's so urgent, and we need to intertwine again children's lives with nature since birth, at their own kindergartens or children's gardens, right? So yes, in terms of biophilic, I came around to the notion of it on 2014, and I would like to cite Edward O. Wilson, sorry, when he says the urge to affiliate with other forms of life. Like, I do believe what he says. I mean, it's an ancestral thing that we carry with us. And it really hurts me that there are so many children that really don't have access to nature or to other living things. So no wonder that when they come across parks recently planted, they go and destroy them because they don't know them, they don't care about it, they don't notice that there are lives behind, right? So Naturalizar is one of the first Chilean outdoor learning and play programs for early childhood. We started in 2012. Like outdoor learning in Chile was like everyone would go outdoor learning, like are you nutty? Right. So now we have, I mean, the program exists at 114 nursery schools. So I'm really, really proud, and we are all very proud about it. We are proud as well because it's on public education. Like most of the settings are public schools, public nursery schools, and they are located at urban areas with little or no access to nature, like really underserved areas. So it's amazing the way that this, I don't know, the early childhood education centers, they become gardens, they become tiny oases. And I believe they start like swirling, like, I don't know, like spiraling around. Here are some hints. The program is structured around 5 educational outdoor spaces because we believe we want children to go every day to one different space, like 5 days of the week. we really encourage in each one of them, one of the 5 senses. I know there are 20, but if we think about the main ones, right? And we try to encourage at each one of them 5 life abilities, right? Like curiosity, like the one we are rehearsing now. And so that's it. I'm sorry. I'm not showing any video or pictures because I really want you to go there. The program is amazing. We do have, but sorry, it's in Spanish. We do have like a book about the program itself. If anyone would need any information, please do write me or contact me. And the other thing is, if I can share something that makes us proud, is that we started from scratch. There was nothing. And in 2014, I think, well, we met some people at European Early Childhood Research Association, and they invited us to be part of the Handbook of Outdoor Learning and Play from SAGE. So one of the chapters is Naturalizars. So yes, that's what I wanted to share. Thank you very much. And I do hope so much to meet in September. And I promise there I will have all the information for you, okay?
Thank you so much. That was lovely. An absolute teaser, isn't it, in terms of what's going to be coming in September. So the things that struck me about all of that, and it would be great because I think we'll have time for some questions and discussion maybe at the end of this, is that whole balance, isn't it, around the work of Wilson when they talk about the biophilia, which you mentioned, that love and passion of the natural world, and how that now is contrasted with the biophobia, this sense of increasing apprehension, fear. And there was a discussion I was in recently that was talking about the impact of the pandemic has been one that the natural world has sadly been associated with the idea of the COVID virus. And so in association with that, you've got even more biophobia coming through. So I'm really excited, Josefina, to be able to come to your presentation, but like that, I'm in the SAGE handbook, and it's a tome. So if anyone can actually afford it or read it, it is absolutely packed full of amazing case studies and research in the field of nature-based education. So fabulous, 2 really good links there, Josefina.
Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure. Thanks so much. So Richard, hooray! Good to see you. Good that you're here. You're technically our 4th speaker, saving the best to last, as they say. So I'll hand over the screen to you. Yeah, carry on.
Thank you, Claire. I was having a few technical issues early on, so I'm not going to be able to share my screen. Mary's putting the slides up for me. And so you have to put up with me saying next slide every now and then. You know. Okay, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to September. It was a shame what happened last year, but really looking forward to getting there. I'm going to be spending 2 days making a large structure, and I hope as many of you as possible can come along. It's going to be in one of the local schools and join in and have some fun with us as well. So this project, this place is like a building society. Building site. This place is like a building site, has been running its current format with Learning Through Landscapes for about 5 years now. It's funded by somebody called the Sir John Lang Trust, and they're a trust that comes out of Lang, which in the UK is one of the largest construction companies we've got. So that's where that sort of link is. It evolved from a project that was largely sort of teacher training, and early on we did lots of small construction stuff like bird boxes and things, but we realized that the bits that the kids really locked onto was the making, the construction. We gradually morphed it and evolved it into its current form. Okay, can I have the next slide please, Mary? Okay, so this, as I say, this project we take the children right from the very beginning, working with round pole timber, unshaped pieces of wood, to the final structure. And we get them involved in everything from unloading off the pallet to actually finishing it off so it's safe and installed. I realize this slide has got 4 boys carrying something while two girls are looking on. It's slightly unfortunate. It's not like that at all. It must just be the way the project those groups will work. But we get everybody involved, and we ask the schools to particularly sort of select children that they think will benefit most from it. So we work with a small group of children, normally no more than 15 children over 2 days, and we try and keep that group throughout so they see the project all the way through. So here these boys are carrying a log, and we have much bigger logs than that as well sometimes, and so they all work as teams. Okay, can I have the next slide, please, Mary? So as I say, the whole process, so from unloading the pallet, checking all the bits that are there, to looking through the plans. These children are Key Stage 2 in England, which is sort of 7.5 to 11, that sort of age. We did sometimes run it with younger children, and they have a great time as well, but it takes slightly longer with some of the tiny little kids. Okay, so next slide, please. One of the things we're really keen on is the importance of children working with natural materials. So all the timber that we source, we work with a sustainable company called Touchwood that are based over here in the UK, down in Bristol. And they use local timber that's sustainably sourced, as unmachined as possible. And the children sort of, here, this boy's taken bark off with a simple tool, and that sort of that affordance, that natural materials, I'm sure you all know that they offer so many more opportunities than manufactured materials. So yeah, that boy's taking the bark off. It's always a fun activity. Can we have the next slide, please? And we use real tools. So most schools now in the UK don't do very much, even small scale sort of technical construction, and certainly they don't do large scale stuff. So we're creating large structures that are going to be installed into their school ground, like this is going to be a storytelling throne here. So it needs to be safe, it needs to be compliant with all the sort of building regulations, and so we're using real tools, but safely. So here we've got an impact driver. It's not a children's tool, but that young girl is doing it, and she's doing the drilling, and I'm just providing a sort of steadying hand, if you like, and giving those children that opportunity to use things that they wouldn't normally do in school. And that idea of making something, and the importance of and the ownership and the stewardship that comes through from that process. And you'll also notice, you might notice there, that it's wet. So we run this project at all different times of the year. We've had snow on the ground, we're out, sometimes it's lashing down with rain, and occasionally the sun shines, but not very often. And so we provide them with waterproof clothing and protective gear. Can we have the next slide, please, Mary? One of the things that we work really hard on is the self-esteem of the children. A lot of the children that are chosen to do this project are children that find school a difficult place to be sometimes. And one of the most common comments that teachers who work alongside with us will say is that they've seen children in a new light, in a different way. And so children that are perhaps in their shell a little bit will come out over the period of the 2 days and will feel confident and feel proud of what they've done. And what we sort of try and foster that sort of teamwork all the way through, so everybody's helping everybody else. Whether it's carrying heavy things or helping install, digging holes, always one of the most favourite activities. And we also, when it's cold, we'll make hot drinks, and we'll sit around and share that and chat. And there's also time. Over the last year or so, just all around the world, children had a pretty terrible time, haven't they? But here, there's a bit of a pressure at the moment to get them even more pressurized and catch up with missing stuff. And one of the things that this project provides is time just for children to sort of be a bit quiet. And I'll often find when we're all working, sometimes we'll be chatting, then all of a sudden it will go quiet for a bit, and there's that lovely period when they're all sort of a bit meditative and absorbed. Next slide, please, Mary. And that's one of the structures. In fact, that's the structure that we are going to be making in Stirling, and it's a solitary bee hotel. So it would be great if you could come and join us and see how the project goes, and hopefully take some ideas back for your own settings, wherever they are. Thank you. Thanks, Claire.
Thank you very much. That's great, Richard. I love the fact that it goes from the raw material right the way through that process, because so often, hey, things come into a landscape that are just been made by somebody in a faraway place. What fun! I love that, the idea of it, the fact that it's co-constructed in every sense of the word. Absolutely brilliant. And there's nothing like having a nice warm cup of something, is there? I'm looking out the window right now up here in Scotland, and we've got hail again. So
and down here in Wiltshire as well.
Oh, have you? Goodness sake. I'm like, whoa, it will be lovely, I'm sure, by the time you all come to Scotland. So we've got a little bit of time left. So my beautiful assistant, Mary, can maybe come online as well and see if we've got any questions that you'd like to ask any one of the 4 speakers today, or anything about the conference itself. You can either pop those into the chat function, or you can just unmute yourself and speak directly to the group.
Well, I mean, I think the only question that's been in has been answered so far. Also, there's links in the chat. Cedric's put a link in there, and I think Matt may have put something in earlier. So links to the conference so that you can sign in. Other than that, all the comments have just been, wow, these are fantastic projects, all of them. So that's really exciting. But if people do have questions, please, as Claire said, either unmute yourselves and ask the question directly, or put something in the chat. We'd really like to hear from you, or any questions about how the conference is going to work as well. Matt's here and he can answer those as well. So kind of practical things, if you're concerned about, what's the best thing to do? Can we get over, those kind of things. We may not be able to answer them, but we can at least kind of tell you how things are at the moment and what we think how things might be by September. I think my key advice is, if you are thinking of coming over, book your accommodation first before you book your flights, because I think that's going to be the hardest thing, because a lot of people in the UK are staying in the UK, so accommodation is getting booked up quickly. So that would be my one tip, but others may disagree, but that's my thought at the moment.
Can I ask Mary and Matt, in the original program, we were visiting schools and projects. Is this still the thing, or is there a change in the project?
We had to cut the program down by a day, so that has caused us a squeeze. And what we're trying not to do is promise that we can do that. We've still got a lot of schools and early years settings who are very nervous about a group of strangers coming into their grounds. So we're trying to be respectful. Our hope is we may well go to visit some. At the very least, we'll probably take everybody on a virtual tour and invite, the adults and a couple of the children to come and talk to us in person, something like that. So we have an ambition to do something, but we just need to be careful with, we are still a few months from it and we're not quite sure what those few months will bring. So yes, but we may end up with, as I say, a virtual, and then some leaders and a couple of children talking to us about their experiences and answering questions. So
okay, thank you.
I'm seeing people there that are listening that I can't believe haven't got questions. I mean, Al sitting there in silence? I can't believe that. But if not, that's fine.
Mary, I have one. Is it mandatory in Scotland to wear masks or not?
Matt, you better answer that.
Yeah, it is at the moment in shops and indoors and things like that. So again, depending on how the future goes, that may well disappear by later in the summer. But at the moment, it's indoors. We tend to wear masks and limited. But again, we are moving in the right direction. Things are improving, and we're hoping by September that it's not as restrictive as it is at the moment. And again, at the moment, we've just got some things there about quarantine and things. They should, the plan at the moment is that they disappear in July. So we shouldn't have to quarantine, depending on where you're coming from and things like that sort of thing. So there is a slight, let's just take care. Each country is obviously treated differently at the moment.
Yeah, and that's also worth saying from the UK perspective, that the rules vary sometimes between the 4 nations. So if you're, for example, thinking of flying into England, you may have different restrictions from if you were flying into Scotland. So it's just when it gets to that point, just check where you're coming into. We can now travel between the nations, which we couldn't for quite some time. But those restrictions do change a little, vary between the 4 countries. So just check where you're coming into as to what those restrictions are. A message from Al. He's just catching up on things, he says. So we'll let him off. But nice to have you there. Some familiar faces behind those pictures. So that's really nice. Well, if we haven't got any more questions, Claire, I'll leave it to you to close up. And this will be a recording, so please encourage other people to search out for it as well. It will be, Matt, where will we be putting this when Sherry sent it through?
We'll put it on our YouTube site, and again, we'll just make sure it kind of gets emailed out and put in social media and things like that. So
yeah, so do watch out for it, and please share with others, because I think it's a really good taster, a really nice flavour of the types of things we're going to see in September.
Yeah, Mary, it'll be on the ISGA website as well, I think, and on the ISGA YouTube channel.
Great.
So all the participants will get a link to the YouTube, and then feel free to share away.
Brilliant, thank you.
Great. Well, it just remains for me to thank Matt, Cedric, Josefina and Ryckaert for sharing some of their thinking with us. Do join us on the next webinar, where we'll have another range of speakers giving us a little taster of what is to come if you manage to make it to the ISGA conference in September. So from all of us here, I'd like to say thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for making the time to attend this webinar. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. Bye.
bye.